because the rescue officials till yesterday night were not able to trace or spot where exactly Akshata was, though it was said that she has fallen 28 feet down in the 300 feet deep borewell. The rescue officials were not able to trace Akshata because of the debris that had fallen into the borewell, and they used several methods. They directly tried to reach Akshata through the borewell. When that failed, they decided to dig a parallel ditch and horizontally reach Akshata. And remember that the terrain was very rough and they had to face many challenges. The rock formations were very hard and they had to drill through the rocks and granite slabs. And another challenge that they faced was when they were digging horizontally, there was a major threat of earth coming crashing down, and many other such challenges were being faced by the rescue officials. And not to forget Manikantan, who also rushed to the spot with his robot, with his borewell robot, to rescue Akshata. And the robotic arm was used by the rescue officials last night. That is what they were speculating on how to use the robotic arm, how to put the robotic arm to best possible use. They used different sizes of arms and they put it through the borewell. They had suspended parallel digging because they had feared that Akshata might have fallen further down.
Well, we're joined in by Ram Nivas, the SP of Bijapur. Thank you so much for joining us. Finally, the body was located, but how difficult was the whole operation, if you could tell us, sir?
The whole operation almost took 48 hours to 50 hours, and it was a bit difficult because from upside we have called one person from the Tamil Nadu. He tried from upside, but we could not able to succeed. Then we tried vertically. After that, we dug up horizontally, and for that it took lots of time because the rocks were hard below. And digging was a little bit tough. But finally, our teams from NDRF Pune and our team, gold mine teams from Raichuru and Sangli team, firefighters, and all from all the departments putting together all the efforts. They got succeeded in recovering the girl.
Why exactly was Mr. Manikantan not allowed to use the robotic arm? Do you think that would have been effective?
No, he was allowed. He was very much allowed. As soon as he came here, he used all the implements, and yesterday night also he did his operation for almost 5 to 6 hours, but he could not able to succeed.
No, but initially we were told, yesterday during the afternoon, we were told that Manikantan's robotic arm, the rescue officials have refused to use Manikantan's robotic arm. Why exactly was that? Did you fear that the robotic arm might hurt Akshata in the long run?
Actually, initially, when Manikantan came here, they had a discussion, all the teams had discussion together that decided that first we should put the safety somewhere down below the girl, so that if in case the girl will be disturbed, then they should not go further down. Then it will become more difficult for the teams. So they decided like that, but finally, because the rocks was too hard, so then again they went for the Manikantan procedure, and then Manikantan did his operation also with all his implements, but could not able to succeed. Then finally we again adopted the earlier method of going digging and recovering the girl.
But what exactly was the challenge in getting the body directly from the bowel opening, Mr. Ramnivas? Why was there a lot of debris, or what exactly was preventing? I think even through the cameras, it was difficult to detect the body.
Yep, actually, along with the body, when the girl fell into the well, along with her only, there's lots of sand went into the borewell. So that the body of the girl was totally covered with a layer of soil. So that with the webcam also we could not able to see that body exactly. That's why that is the one difficulty. And another, this because that rock strata was too hard, below 25, 30 feet. So for each feet, it was taking time to dig up.
Was the body found head down, or her legs could be seen?
It is straight, down, leg down, and the head was up only. It is straight.
And so, what is the procedure now, Mr. Ramnivas? What remains now? She's been taken to the hospital.
Now, girl's body has been shifted to the government hospital. Now, doctors will do some checkups, and they will tell the status of the girl. Afterwards, based on their report, we will take further action.
Now, Mr. Ramnivas, this open borewells is causing a threat to many people across the country. So, what kind of have you gone ahead and arrested anybody in this regard for leaving the borewells open? Have you booked anybody, the owner of the land, or the authorities who dug the borewell?
We have registered. We have already registered a case, and in that on 6 persons, and 3 persons we have already arrested, and owner of the land and his members, and we also booked the case on the agency, borewell agency, and fellow who dig up that borewell.
Okay, thank you so much, Ramnivas, Mr. Ramnivas, for joining in with all those details. That was SP of Bijapur, Ramnivas, telling us that a case was registered as soon as Akshata fell into the open borewell, and 3 arrests have already been made. The owner of the land has been arrested, and the agency that dug the borewell, the people of the agency, have also been arrested. Now again, Michael, even the SP of Bijapur going on to say that Akshata was found upright, like her legs were down and the head was up. So what really could have been the cause of her death? We know the fact that she was starving inside, and oxygen supply might not have been sufficient because she was 28 feet down. But the doctors haven't spoken anything about what could be the possible reason for her death.
Well, Shruti, one could be suffocation and the other could be shock, because she would have tried to fight for the initial few, probably 1 hour or so, trying to extricate herself out of the situation, out of that borewell. And when she couldn't, claustrophobia also could have been one of the reasons. It's a very narrow space. So those could have been the reasons why she could have breathed her last. And she's just a 4-year-old, absolutely no clue as to why this thing had happened. And the SP also pointed out that a lot of mud and sand had also fallen on her even as she slipped into the borewell. So that could have blocked a lot of air from coming in, and she could have been suffocating, and probably that could have prevented anybody close by from hearing her screams. But that was probably the reason why they couldn't hear her movement, couldn't see any movement, or hear any sound from her. These could have been the reasons, Shruti, for why she could have breathed her last, Shruti.
Well, also, Michael, we know that SP told us that Manikandan's robotic arm was also not being used initially. Now, right now, we're joined in by my colleague Akshata, who joins us from the spot. Akshata, take us through what is the situation like right now over there.
Well, Shruti, people have dispersed now, nothing much to talk about. But actually, if you look at what exactly took place, let me take you through that 51-hour-long rescue operation, why it took so long. What you see on my right is that large wall that we've been showing you over the last many days. And this is where the rescue operations took place. Now, you can see that they created a cave of sorts, Shruti. They've gone right in there. They used machines. They used manually. They went in there. And you can see, of course, the remnants of what is left of all that they did, of all the hard work. In fact, if I can ask my camera person to zoom in, I can show you exactly which was the point when they actually managed to connect to that particular borewell. It's a very, very narrow stretch there, Shruti, and that is where 4-year-old Akshata's body was stuck. So you can imagine, of course, how concocted her body must have been after coming through that to such a narrow little pipe. This is where she was stuck. This is somewhere about 35 feet is what we understand. This huge granite stone is why it took so much time for them to go ahead and complete the rescue operations, because what we're looking at is that this stone was absolutely impossible to break. At one point they were stating that they had to actually use the machines and then drill, use the JCBs, move it so they can create a slide for people to go through, and then manually the people came through using fire ladders and they would go about there. In fact, I would go down there, except that this place is completely undone. It is still very, very loose gravel out here, but that is exactly what took place, Shruti. This is why it took 51 long hours, because it almost looks like a cave was made, an unnatural cave of sorts, considering, of course, that they had to drill their way through this granite stone. Definitely not an easy task. They've measured it out. It comes to about 35 feet. Let me just explain to you exactly how they realized that Akshata's body was here. We understand that they were drilling, they were going ahead and measuring and approximately figuring out exactly where to stop. But it is at the edge of that particular borewell that you see that pipe out there. At the very edge on the top, they saw her chin sticking out. Remember, she fell head first down. They saw her chin sticking out, and that's when they realized that that's where she is, which is when they started digging right underneath, started going a little lower so they can go from there and ensure there's a little space to pull out her body. So they went from under then and started scooping out, started drilling in there. So they had to drill right through the borewell itself and get there finally. In fact, if you see the insides is actually cemented, because that is the part of the borewell. But inside, after that, they had to pull her out, and obviously she hadn't survived that fall. It was too narrow. She was completely stuck there. Maybe in a couple of hours if she was pulled out, there was some chance of her actually surviving. 51 hours was just way too much, Shruti. There was no way she would survive that. So they pull her out, and immediately, of course, they realized that she had not survived. They immediately, in fact, went on to sanitize the area. They wrapped her body in a blanket, in a sack, and then in a blanket, and then also sanitize the area with bleaching powder. There is a huge smell of bleaching powder, very, very strong smell, in fact, all around, to ensure that considering her body was lying there for so long, the smell doesn't come through for the public as well. They will be closing up this area, of course, in a matter of days. But as you can see, this is the kind of work it took to rescue 4-year-old Akshata. Every time someone falls into a borewell, this is normal, of course. They come to the other side a few feet away and start digging in, and that is exactly what took place here as well. They are completely digging in. The only part was the terrain, and that's exactly why it took so long. But hats off to the NDRF, hats off to all those who were involved in these rescue operations. It took 51 hours, but they tirelessly worked. It could have taken way more longer, Shruti, if they had not continued to work day in and day out and continue to change strategy, despite the fact that every single time they hit a roadblock, they would change their strategy and come up with a new way to go ahead and rescue the girl. Finally, they did pull her out, of course, and now they're taking her body to the Bijapur General Hospital, where a post-mortem will be conducted, and post that, of course, there will be a report that will state exactly how she passed away. Was it suffocation? Was it injuries? Or exactly what it was, Shruti?
Well, Akshata, now we know that there were 15 doctors on the spot, there were medical camps set up, there were 3 ambulances on standby. Is there any word right now on when could be the possible time when Akshata breathed her last? Well, we will get back to Akshata in a while. Our colleague Akshata just explained how the rescue operations got delayed. There was a huge granite stone, the huge challenge that the rescue officials had to overcome. At a point, the rescue officials had given up and had thought that Manikantan's robotic arm would come as the last resort. That was